Do you know why your reactions tighten when pressure rises without warning? What if invisible patterns already trained your body to obey hidden clocks? If you want unbreakable composure under tests, listen with uncommon attention. Emotional pressure begins by shrinking your awareness before you notice the shift. A word or pause narrows vision and pushes your thoughts into tunnels. Once awareness narrows, impulse gains speed and intelligence loses precision. Power starts with expanding awareness faster than pressure can close it. You expand awareness through a quiet ritual with 4 simple internal moves. Scan, breathe, name, and question. Then let timing choose your expression. The scan is brief and neutral, not dramatic and not exaggerated. Notice eyes, jaw, shoulders, stomach, and breath without correcting anything yet. This step gathers data before the first impulse sells your option set. Now take a neutral breath, gentle inhale, brief pause, slow, soft exhale. Neutral breath prevents the appearance of nerves while resetting the inner clock. Repeat twice while keeping face calm, and gaze soft and steady. Now name the internal event with a short private phrase inside mind. Say, pressure rising, or bait detected, or boundary touched. In simple words, naming separates you from the surge and dissolves unnecessary urgency. The last move is a focused question that widens your frame. Ask, what meaning is being offered, and who benefits from that meaning? This question stops obedience to the first story arriving at your door. Once the ritual creates space, shift from feelings to frames and structure. Frames. Decide what anything means before words begin their performance. Accept the wrong frame, and your best sentence strengthens the wrong story. Refuse the first frame and your options multiply in unexpected directions. Use the triad of clarify, constrain, and choose to retake ground. Each step is calm, precise, and deliberately slow to protect leverage. Clarify moves fog into facts by asking for criteria and definitions. Ask, what standard are we using, and how will we verify outcomes? This turns emotional lightning into measurable daylight and slows hidden clocks. Constrain reduces overload by narrowing the field to a single point. Say, let us focus on the one matter that truly decides direction. Choice becomes easier when the stage is smaller and lighting is honest. Choose is not a reaction. Choose is a countermove shaped by values. Select the smallest effective action that preserves options and standards. You might pause decisions, request evidence, or propose a slower process. Each choice communicates authority without noise and without unnecessary defense. The mind that chooses slowly radiates stability and earns silent respect. Stability is a language, and every watcher understands its message instantly. Understand the 3 levers that push people into reactive noise against wisdom. Urgency, validation, and guilt are the classic handles for rushed compliance. Urgency steals time. Validation steals identity. Guilt steals agency and clarity. Answer urgency with a process clock that feels fair and deliberate. Say, decisions follow 2 stages, facts first, options later, selection after review. Answer validation traps by separating worth from performance within this single decision. Say, identity is not on this table, only standards and outcomes matter. Answer guilt by returning to integrity and proportional responsibility. Say, empathy is real, yet process protects fairness, and fairness protects trust. These lines cool the room while keeping your spine aligned and steady. They also signal that you will not buy peace with self-betrayal. People sense the difference, and often recalibrate without open confrontation. Learn the invisible art of latency control, the distance between feeling and expression. Short latency broadcasts your map to anyone skilled in reading people. Long latency hides your map while you study theirs with patience. Do not suppress feelings. Channel them through specific conversions inside language. Anger becomes clean assertion. Sadness becomes depth. Fear becomes foresight and preparation. Conversion turns raw charge into guidance without leaking signal prematurely. Watch for 4 micro signs of inner flooding that predict loss of control. 1. Vision tightens toward a single point while context fades around it. 2. Tongue presses the palate and shoulders lift toward ears without reason. 3. Thoughts switch to absolute terms and future loss plays in loops. 4. A moral urge appears to correct someone quickly and publicly. When any sign appears, run the ritual immediately and recover. Ground. Avoid the trap of instant self-defense when pressed by confident voices. The first to justify loses hidden power and cedes frame control. Counter pressure with a calm question that creates a reflective pause. Ask, what would count as a fair evaluation in your view? Ask, which evidence would change your conclusion if presented? Clearly, questions like these shift attention from you to structure and verification. Recognize the tactic of bait escalation designed to trigger loud mistakes. Bait invites you to argue on their preferred stage and timing. Never swing at every thrown line. Conserve force for decisive moments. Use the triad again. Clarify the claim. Constrain the scope. Choose proportion. Sometimes proportion means silence. Sometimes it means one sentence. Sometimes closure. Proportion protects reputation, energy, and long-term position without unnecessary battles. Silence itself is a tool when used with clean intention and posture. Silence without presence feels weak. Silence with presence feels authoritative. Hold soft eye contact, relaxed shoulders, and an even breathing rhythm. This combination creates alert stillness that discourages further provocation. Many tests end when the other party hears their own echo. Room often corrects itself when the mirror is held steadily. Your language must express fairness while defending boundaries with gentle firmness. Say, I will respond after review, not before and not during pressure. Say, speed cannot replace quality where consequences are meaningful and lasting. Say, let us compare options on shared criteria and weigh trade-offs honestly. These lines are neutral in tone and strong in architecture. They stabilize emotion by pointing attention toward transparent process build, pre-commitments to stop boundary drift. Before it starts moving quietly, state non-negotiables early with calm, repetition, and measured cadence. Use the same exact phrasing whenever the boundary is touched again. Consistency creates an anchor within the conversation and within your nervous system. Anchors keep you steady when other people are shifting rules midstream. A steady anchor is worth more than any clever sentence during storms. There is a deeper layer many never study, the emotional economy of attention. Attention is currency, and whoever directs attention collects invisible payment. You decide where attention goes during tension, inward and outward simultaneously. Half attention watches breath and posture. Half attention decodes sequence and frame. This dual-channel state makes influence slide off without friction. You are present, yet you are not absorbable, which unsettles covert tactics. The disciplined mind also audits energy like a strategist guarding supplies. Decide in advance which topics deserve long answers and which deserve brief ones. Decide which provocations earn silence and which earn structured replies. Decide how much energy a conflict may receive before diminishing returns appear. Without an energy audit, small skirmishes drain your larger campaigns silently. With an audit, your presence feels rare, valuable, and difficult to capture. Develop a personal phrasing bank for high-pressure moments to prevent scrambling. Prepare 3 categories: cooling lines, boundary lines, review lines. Written simply, cooling lines reduce heat and expand space for analysis and fairness. Say, let us slow down for a cleaner comparison of available options. Boundary lines protect standards without hostility or dramatic flair. Say, that approach conflicts with my criteria. I will maintain the stated conditions. Review lines create time and accountability without avoidance or vagueness. Say, I will evaluate the facts by tomorrow evening and return with conclusions. Say, I will consult 2 sources and check for hidden risks and trade-offs. Clarity plus timing earns respect even from those seeking control. People may push, yet they recognize a spine that does not bend. Such recognition reduces unnecessary future tests. More than any victory speech, remember the law of middle lanes when forced into false extremes. Extremes are steering tools used by those who benefit from chaos. Offer a third lane that preserves value and reduces risk intelligently. Say, there is a balanced route that maintains gains and avoids unnecessary harm. Define verification steps so the lane feels real rather than rhetorical. Once the middle exists, pressure loses part of its leverage immediately. Confront the covert levers aimed at care and conscience during conflict. Guilt may demand instant access to your energy and focus. Never trade conscience for speed. Trade speed for quality and integrity. Compassion is not surrender. Compassion is measured warmth inside clear structure. You can care deeply while refusing unhealthy terms and timelines. This balance protects both your values and your future freedom. Train recovery speed after emotional impact rather than chasing perfect. Immunity. Immunity is a fantasy, recovery is a discipline, and discipline compounds. Use brief reflection writing, slow walking, or quiet observation for several minutes. Write one line. Trigger noted, protocol used, state reset, insight captured. This practice prevents residue from shaping tomorrow's reactions unconsciously. Steady. Cleanup is a hidden engine of long-term composure under tests. Calibration makes everything sharper without appearing rigid or... Defensive calibration means you adjust tone, pace, and distance to maintain clarity. If the room gets loud, you get quieter to pull energy downward. If the room gets vague, you ask for structure to restore direction. If the room gets rushed, you introduce steps to protect decision quality. Calibration is living intelligence, not a script, and it earns trust. Now integrate the entire system until it becomes your natural posture. Scan. Breathe, name, question, then clarify, constrain, and choose with calm. Practice micro-drills daily on small triggers like waiting or minor disagreement. Design a short morning review of boundaries, values, and likely pressures. Enter the day with prepared phrases and a clean energy budget. By evening, log lessons simply and let your nervous system assimilate. You will notice people stop pushing as hard when composure becomes predictable. Composure removes the fun from provocation and the reward from chaos. You will also notice new respect that still feels quiet and unannounced. This is not dominance. This is stability recognized by nervous systems around you. Stability becomes service when it protects truth and improves outcomes for everyone. Yet there is one final knot that many never untie. What happens when someone uses your own calm against you? Very subtly. How do you distinguish true alignment from strategic serenity built to steer you? And how do you keep compassion alive while refusing polished manipulation wearing perfect manners? Do you know why some people seem calm until you touch their ego? What if the calmest surface hides a storm trained for precision? If you wish to stay composed when pushed to the edge, watch what moves first inside you. Pressure is not random. It is engineered through timing and tone. Most people react not to words, but to invisible timing between them. This is where control hides, in the pause that carries judgment. When someone wants to make you react, they play with intervals, not insults. They accelerate or delay responses to disturb your internal rhythm. Once your rhythm breaks, emotion replaces strategy, and clarity dies quietly. The disciplined mind learns to keep its rhythm independent of environment. You do this by mastering internal tempo. The private pace of awareness, emotional tempo decides who leads any exchange, even in silence. If their tone speeds up, you slow down deliberately. If they go quiet, you remain steady, not searching for sound. Control of tempo is invisible dominance, because it resets psychological gravity. Now study the structure of provocation. It always has 3 layers: bait, frame, and hook. Bait draws reaction. Frame defines meaning. Hook captures your identity. People throw emotional bait to measure your predictability. If you bite, they know where your pride lives. If you stay still, their strategy must change completely. When bait appears, do not reject it. Observe it neutrally, recognize tone, micro-pause, and emotional direction behind words. Say quietly inside, "Bait detected, return to baseline." This statement triggers detachment in your nervous system. Automatically, you just created a gap between stimulus and self-definition. That gap is your invisible shield, the space where freedom lives. Next comes the frame. If you accept the opponent's frame, your reaction strengthens their position. Frames are invisible agreements about what the moment means. Someone says, "You always avoid responsibility," and you start defending. In that instant, you accepted their definition of responsibility. Refuse the frame gently, and you dissolve the weapon. You can reframe through calm redirection instead of defense. Say, "It sounds like we have different ways of defining ownership." Now meaning shifts toward structure, not emotion. Your calm tone forces them to enter reason's territory. In reason's territory, aggression loses strength and pressure weakens. Never defend identity. Always clarify structure. After frame comes hook, emotional personalization of the conflict. Hooks are phrases that attach your sense of self to their agenda. They sound like, "You think you're better," or "Everyone sees you failing." Hooks trigger pride or shame to extract compliance. To break hooks, separate evaluation from essence instantly. You say inside, "This is feedback on behavior, not judgment on being." Practice this inner split until it becomes automatic. Once the mind separates self from stimulus, provocation cannot capture it. Your body remains calm because identity is untouched. You may feel heat, but heat no longer commands movement. Composure is not coldness. It is directed warmth held under structure. That structure must be built before battle, not during chaos. Build your structure with a triad of principles: delay, precision, minimalism. Delay means every answer passes through silence before leaving your mouth. Precision means you choose words that describe facts, not emotions. Minimalism means you stop speaking the moment your point is clear. Each principle saves energy and raises psychological authority. The more concise your presence, the heavier your words sound. Learn the hidden signs of control attempts disguised as emotional appeal. 1. Urgency framed as care. 2. Guilt framed as honesty. 3. Flattery framed as trust. All three create reaction loops designed to bypass awareness. Break them by asking clarifying questions that pull emotion into daylight. You do not resist emotion, you relocate it into examination. Example: when urgency hits, ask, "What happens if we decide tomorrow?" When guilt rises, ask, "What specific action do you believe I owe here?" When flattery appears, ask, "What result do you expect after this trust?" Questions freeze manipulation because they change its element from heat to light. Heat burns. Light exposes. Both cannot exist together for long. You become the mirror in which hidden motives cannot survive reflection. Remember, composure is not silence alone. It is calibrated silence. Silence becomes power only when paired with alert awareness. Alert silence watches energy without collapsing into withdrawal. You stay engaged, but unabsorbable, responsive but unreadable. This balance disorients manipulators who rely on predictable emotional choreography. They lose rhythm because their cues return unanswered. Sometimes pressure uses kindness instead of conflict, overhelping, oversharing, or false empathy can all create emotional debt. The rule is simple: never accept warmth that demands speed. True empathy gives time. False empathy demands reaction. When warmth feels like a leash, loosen it with gratitude and distance. Say, "Thank you, I will consider that," and end calmly. The final skill is emotional anchoring, grounding in values, not moods. Anchors are pre-chosen principles that decide tone before emotion does. You train them through repetition until they override reflex. Anchors sound like truth before comfort, process before speed, clarity before defense. Repeat them mentally during rising tension, and they replace impulse with posture. Posture speaks louder than emotion because it transmits steadiness. With enough repetition, provocation becomes feedback, not threat. You start recognizing patterns faster than others can exploit them. You will notice that calm is no longer an effort. It is your resting state. But mastery does not end here. What happens when the pressure is not external but internal? When your own expectations begin to push you to react against yourself? Do you know why your mind turns against you when nothing external attacks? What if your greatest manipulator is the voice you never question? If you want true power, learn to disarm the inner provoker first. Most people train against outer pressure but forget internal resistance. Their thoughts copy the world's manipulation patterns and replay them silently. The external enemy retires, but the echo remains inside. This echo uses your own voice to steal your calm and force reaction. It whispers urgency, guilt, or self-judgment in your native emotional language. You believe it is self-awareness, but it is internalized control. The mind has two currents: awareness and commentary. Awareness observes neutrally, commentary interprets and distorts. When commentary hijacks awareness, reaction replaces comprehension. This is why calm people still feel turbulence beneath silence. Their body obeys awareness, but their inner narrative obeys old training. Real composure begins when commentary loses authority over state. Your task is not to silence thoughts, but to strip them of command power. You do this by renaming the inner commentator as a separate system. Say quietly, inside. Narration detected, observation active. Naming creates internal distance, and distance restores hierarchy. The watcher returns to the throne, and commentary returns to data. Data cannot control the observer. It can only inform. This is the secret of emotional sovereignty. You are not the noise. You are the one who hears it. Reaction happens when the hearing becomes identity. So you must train hearing without identification through deliberate slowness. Slowness interrupts automatic fusing between emotion and self-image. Every second of delay adds a layer of protection around intelligence. The next technique is internal reframing, used when self-talk becomes hostile. Negative thought uses 3 distortions: exaggeration, personalization, and prediction. Exaggeration amplifies errors. Personalization turns outcomes into identity. And prediction imagines failure before any action. You must intercept each distortion with factual correction. Replace "I always fail" with "one method failed, but variables remain." Replace "they hate me" with "their mood may not relate to me." Replace "this will collapse" with "outcomes are unconfirmed until verified." These reframes are not affirmations. They are structural realignments. Affirmations fight feelings. Realignments reprogram perspective. Reprogramming converts chaos into clean logic while keeping tone neutral. Logic without calm is arrogance. Calm without logic is naivety. You must merge, both to reach functional composure. That merger is called cognitive equilibrium, stillness with awareness, intact. Understand the hidden pattern of internal triggers. Each trigger is a demand disguised as moral truth. You hear? You must prove, you must explain, you must fix instantly. These imperatives are old training from social survival. You can neutralize them by replying with permission instead of obedience. Say, "I am allowed to pause," or "this can wait for." Review. Permission erases false urgency by asserting conscious ownership of time. Internal mastery also depends on managing physiological anchoring. Your body associates posture, breath, and tone with emotional states. You can rewire this through small, consistent countersignals. When anxiety appears, lower shoulders, breathe shallow and slow, widen gaze. When anger rises, relax jaw, drop voice pitch, and reduce gesture amplitude. The nervous system reads these cues as evidence of safety and recalibrates. Self-regulation becomes the root of invisible authority. But there is a deeper layer. Beneath physiology, value hierarchy. When values conflict, emotion spikes to restore internal order. You cannot calm yourself if priorities are unranked. You must write and memorize your personal hierarchy of values. Place integrity above image, process above speed, growth above perfection. This hierarchy acts like a compass during emotional storms. Each decision becomes directional instead of reactive. Watch how inner dialogues change once hierarchy exists. You no longer ask, "How do I feel?" but "What aligns with principle?" Principles anchor the mind beyond mood swings. Emotions fluctuate like weather. Principles remain like climate. This shift marks the transition from reactive human to conscious strategist. A strategist still feels, but does not obey every feeling's command. Recognize also the inner test called the fatigue paradox. The mind resists calm when it has fed on chaos for years. Peace feels foreign, so the system tries to recreate familiar pressure. This is why many people sabotage serenity unconsciously. You must treat peace as skill, not accident, and train tolerance for it. Each quiet minute accepted without anxiety strengthens emotional baseline. The next discipline is impulse mapping. Impulses come in chains, not single events. Every reaction has precursors, small signals that appear seconds before movement. Tight shoulders, shallow breath, or thought acceleration are early warnings. Your goal is interception at stage 1, before speech or gesture begins. Practice recognition until your awareness feels predictive, not reactive. This is foresight, the Machiavellian art of timing applied to emotion. Timing is the invisible skeleton of composure. Control timing, and you control narrative rhythm. When an inner voice demands haste, you stretch the moment. When it demands silence, you inject a single grounded thought. You alternate between deliberate pause and deliberate speech. Every adjustment reclaims ownership of time from old conditioning. As your awareness expands, you will notice internal bait, the thought that says, respond now or lose respect. This bait is internalized from others who measured you by reaction. When you feel it, breathe once, smile internally, and do nothing. Doing nothing is not weakness. It is proof of invisible command. You have already won by choosing direction over compulsion. Eventually, the mind quiets not because noise ends, but because authority within has shifted permanently. You become the conductor, not the instrument. Your tone with yourself grows stable. Your perception sharpens naturally. The outer world's pressure echoes but no longer defines rhythm. You now radiate steadiness without trying to perform it. And yet, there remains one last battlefield. What happens when outer provokers recognize your calm and evolve? When they no longer attack directly, but mirror your stillness to regain control? Can you stay composed when calm itself becomes the trap? Do you know that calm can become a weapon when mirrored back at you? What if the same stillness you mastered is used to lead you subtly? If you wish to stay powerful when others learn your methods, you must now see beyond calm itself. Advanced manipulators no longer rely on noise. They study your control and copy it to gain access to your rhythm. They match your tone, your pause, your silence, until your mind relaxes. Their strategy is not to break your calm, but to sync with it. Once synced, they introduce quiet suggestions inside your pace, and because they move in your rhythm, you accept them unconsciously. This level of pressure feels pleasant, not hostile. It comes through agreement, empathy, and timing that feels safe. They will nod when you speak, mirror posture, slow voice, and align logic. Each micro-agreement lowers your inner guard by 1 degree. You feel seen, understood, and therefore less alert. That is when direction begins to shift, not visibly, but in emphasis. The shift begins with shared framing. They will use your own language of balance, logic, and discipline. They speak about fairness, awareness, and clarity just like you do. But listen carefully to what disappears in that language. Your values remain, but the priorities inside them rearrange slowly. You begin serving their version of calm instead of your own. This is called emotional mirroring inversion. It works because validation feels safe, and safety reduces analysis. Your mind assumes sameness equals truth. But sameness without verification is just imitation. You must train to separate resonance from alignment. Resonance means rhythm feels shared. Alignment means purpose is shared. Never confuse the two, or your discipline will serve another's agenda. To defend against mirrored calm, apply the triad of dissonance, delay, and depth. Dissonance means you intentionally break rhythm in small, unpredictable ways. Pause earlier than expected, or shift tone slightly lower mid-sentence. Real alignment adapts with you. Imitation stumbles. Delay means you postpone agreement until independent reflection is done. Say, I will think about that and confirm later, with genuine composure. Depth means you test ideas at principle level, not emotional level. Ask, what outcome does this belief protect? Or, who benefits if this stays true? These questions push interaction from comfort to structure, where truth lives. When someone mirrors your calm but hides intent, comfort turns dense and heavy. You will feel subtle fatigue or cognitive fog even though tone is polite. That heaviness is your nervous system sensing misalignment. Treat it as data, not guilt. You can exit politely without defense. Say, I appreciate the conversation. Let me process this further. Clean exits protect power better than long confrontations. Machiavellian awareness is not suspicion. It is clear sight under politeness. True mastery means reading harmony without drowning in it. You can stay open yet untethered, kind yet sovereign. This balance confuses manipulative calm because it cannot anchor into you. You are present but floating, grounded but mobile, a paradox few can predict. And unpredictability is the final layer of psychological freedom. Emotional intelligence without strategic awareness becomes vulnerability and elegant. Strategic awareness without empathy becomes control and rigid. Only their integration creates power that protects instead of corrupts. Integration means you can observe motives without losing compassion. You can respect people's emotions without inheriting their pace. You can remain centered even when the world synchronizes against you. Remember, Power psychology is not dominance. It is self-possession. It is the ability to keep your mind clean when others trade confusion. The calmest person wins not because of silence, but because of clarity. Clarity is the ultimate defense. It cuts through rhythm, tone, and charm. It detects truth in any disguise because it needs nothing from disguise. And the one who needs nothing cannot be steered by need. Your training is now complete. You mastered the ritual of recovery. You learned frame control. You dissolved bait and silence games. You rewired internal commentary and you unmasked mirrored calm. You no longer react. You choose. You no longer defend. You design. This is emotional sovereignty. The power that feels like still water but sees everything beneath it. When people push, you no longer bend or break. You absorb and redirect. When they test, you no longer defend. You clarify and constrain. When they mirror, you no longer merge. You observe and stay distinct. And when pressure rises, your calm no longer needs effort. It has become your natural element, a living structure, not a mask. This is the hidden truth most never reach. Composure is not about being untouchable. It is about being unowned. No voice, no tone, no silence, not even your own thoughts, can rent space in your mind without your consent. That is the essence of true Machiavellian emotional mastery. Power through freedom, not fear. And now, one final question remains for you to answer alone. When calm itself becomes your greatest influence, will you use it to control others or to awaken them the way you just awakened yourself?